Hello, friends in the Lord. Praised be Jesus Christ, now and forever. Today, together, we're going to make a chaplet of the 7 sorrows of Our Lady, sometimes called a Rosary of the 7 sorrows. What will you need to make a chaplet of the 7 sorrows of Our Lady or any of these prayer aids? First, you're going to need some tools. First tool you'll need is a good pair of pliers. And any kind of pliers with a flat end on it will be just fine, so that you can hold on to your eye pin right in here and then do all the work that you need with your needle nose pliers, and you'll be able to have a good edge there and a firm grip on your eye pins. Really important, you can't do it without this tool, is a set of needle nose pliers. These are essential. These aren't specifically, rosary or jewelry making tools. You can get them at, any craft place or at any hardware store, I would imagine. But what makes these so great is this tapered edge here in these prongs. So if you're using smaller beads, like a 5mm bead with smaller eye pins, you can make smaller loops by making your loops up here at the edge. Or if you've got larger beads like I have, or maybe you're using caps, you would make your loops down here where the loops are going to be bigger and just as round, but larger. Then you're also going to need something to cut with. A pair of fingernail clippers will do just fine. Then the really specialized parts, you're going to need a crucifix or a cross. The centerpieces. These are going to be the most difficult parts to find, is the centerpiece. Sometimes Hobby Lobby or other craft stores will have them. They'll be called rosary connectors, but Lewis & Company, or I'm sure other places online, can get them in your hands very quickly. If you want to make a chaplet today and you don't have a rosary connector, you can always use some jump hoops and just take one jump hoop and connect 3 inside of it, and you won't have a picture of Jesus on it or a picture of his Blessed Mother, but it will hold the beads together as a centerpiece, and that'll work just fine too. These jump hoops can be found at any craft shop in the jewelry section, right alongside the beads. It's very important when you get your beads, these are 8mm beads, you have to know how large your beads are so that you know what size eye pins to buy. I'll show you all this closer up here, but the eye pins are the metal pieces that hold your beads and make the links in between the two. This is going to be a metal chain rosary, not a beaded rosary on rope or a string rosary. But when you buy eye pins, they come pre-made with a loop on the end, on one end. The other end is, straight there, where you slide your bead on and then you bend it over and then you make the loop. We'll be doing this soon. You bend it over and make the loop. But these loops are so professional and perfectly done because they're made by machine. I always use these loops to try to match this end. And then the final part of the metal connectors is the chain. Sterling silver won't tarnish, but it's not as strong, and those chaplets and rosaries will break more easily. Gold, you're going to probably get gold plated. That's not very strong either. The base metal nickel pieces are the strongest, but they will tarnish. It looks like the Rosary of Our Lady of 7 Sorrows has the same number of beads as a normal rosary, 59. There are 7 decades of 7 beads each, and then 7, we'd call them Our Father beads, but it's the markers for each of the sorrows of Our Lady, and then 3 beads to begin with. And then the first thing we're going to do, this is a little scary, we're going to cut off the string here and free these beads. Oh, see, because they can go everywhere. We don't want them to go everywhere. But there we go. Then, the first step that I always do is I come through, I don't count the eye pins, I just counted the beads. Every bead is going to be made the same. It's going to have a bent end and a loop, and then we'll connect them later. I'll show you another way to do it, but this is the way I do it. What I do, I just dump some of these out. There you go. And you go through, stick it in. See? Oh, there it goes. Find the end, stick it in, and bend the end over. Now I'm going to show you that close up, because there is a special way. There is a special way to bend the end over so it works out right. So if you come a little closer, I'll show you that up close. Okay. Are you ready? So, I've got an eye pin and I've got a bead. And they're in the wrong hands. Here's my eye pin end. I'm going to hold, I always just do this in my fingers. I don't use the pliers for this, although you can. I'm holding it so that the circle end of the eye pin is perpendicular to the way you're looking. So the circle is going this way. Do you see? When I'm not holding it that way, I'm holding it this way. And then I place my bead on it. That's easy. So now the bead is on top of it. Then, okay, so now it's still the same way. It gets bent 9, I'm trying to make it focus for you. It gets bent 90 degrees. There. So, you can see that? If I hold it this way, you can see that I've bent the wire straight up. It's perpendicular 90 degrees from the plane of the circle, and it's also 90 degrees, it's a square corner, 90 degrees from the wire inside the bead. You could even, if you just really like using tools, let me see here. See, I just like to use my fingers for most things, but you can put your bead on, if I can find the, you can put your bead on there, and you can use your pliers. See, I don't like doing that. I don't recommend that, but maybe, you know, if that's faster for you, like if the tools help you, you can certainly do it that way. So now we're just going to do that 55 more times. Okay, now is the only really hard part, but we'll do it together and we'll take it slow. Okay, brothers and sisters, now we're going to do the difficult part, but we'll do it together. It's not so bad, it just takes a little bit of practice. But you're going to hold your pliers in front of you so that you can, use them with your hand right in front of you here. You'll take the beads that you've bent over. And now this is if you're right-handed. If you're left-handed, you're going to have to do it the other way, and I can't demonstrate that. I'm not ambidextrous. But if you're left-handed, I'm sure you've spent your whole life, being able to manipulate things in your mind to make it work for you. But if you're right-handed, this tail you've bent is going to point to your right. But the first thing you're going to do is you're going to make a little tail. There you go. I got a little tail. And then you're just gonna, and you want to keep all of it on this 90-degree angle here on this plane. You're just gonna bend that tail right around, and you got a loop. I'll do that again, and I'm gonna try to watch what I'm doing in your view so that I keep it from moving out of screen there. So there you go. You're gonna bend a little tail. Here's my little tail. And you're just gonna, no, it's hard to do on screen. Bend it around. And there's your circle. Let me try to do another one and not move this time. Okay, so there it is. Bending it around. And we're just bending it right there. Say hi to the nice people. Meow meow. Okay. He wants to be up here with us too. That's just fine. So together with Mr. Linky, we will bend the rest of these loops, and then I can show you how to assemble them into the chaplet. There he goes. He's a silly kitty. He's a silly kitty. once again, maybe from this angle, it's pretty small for you to see, but you want to make sure that your loops are only going in two directions. You've got loops going this way, and you've got the loops you're making, and the loops you're making are going this way. So the pre-made loop is this way, and the loop you're making is this way. It makes them cross 90-degree loops. Let's do this 59 times. So I want to show you. So you want to make sure, now let me get in real close again. So you want to make sure when you're holding your bead in your pliers that you're holding it straight up and down, not to the side, not to the side, straight up and down. And this part bends right in on itself, up and down, right across. That eye pin is this way, this loop eye pin is this way. But there you go. So then once you've got these loops, connecting them is easy. Let me zoom in. I'll show you how to connect these beads into decades. Okay, now for the fun part, and it's a pretty easy part. We're going to take the bead with the loop that you made with the open part facing up, and we're going to take another bead with a pre-made loop, which also I like them to face up. Not that it really matters, it doesn't matter. But you just slide it on, that's it. And then stick your needle nose pliers in, close the loop. I'm gonna close it a little bit better. And there it is. Okay, and then you just do it again. So let's see, I'm gonna open that just a little bit more. There's a loop facing up. Here's the tail. Stick it on in. Now you'll see here, right there. Can you see this one? Can you see that it's crooked? I always do that at the very end, but you just go through and then you just go boop, and now it's straight. So we'll do 6 more decades, and then we'll put the chains on them, and then we're gonna have a chaplet. What I am going to do is cut the lengths of chain to connect these decades with the Our Father beads, with the centerpiece and the crucifix. When you cut your chain, you can cut it any length you want, but I would recommend all of the links, all the lengths would be the same number of links in there. I'm going to choose 7 just because that's a holy number and because these are real small loops, and 7 of these loops is going to give me enough space to get my thumb in there. So with Mr. Link right here, let's cut these lengths of chain. I'm not going to show you that close up because you can use clippers to cut chain. We'll do that. I'm going to cut 17, and then we'll do the really fun part of assembling our chaplets together. We've got 5, 10, 15, 17 links of chain, 7 links per chain. I'm just wondering about the chain that will link to the crucifix. It might need to have an extra link in order to help the crucifix to hang straight on and not at an angle. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. If we need 8 links, we'll do that. We take the open part here, and just like adding beads together, we're going to very carefully, with our open part and our chain, don't know if I can do, there we go, stick it on. And then if I can find my needle nose pliers, then we just come on in here and we close it off. Then we're going to come to one of our single beads. Here's the pre-made loop. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to open it just a little bit so that I can then slide it on and close it off. There. And then on our single bead, I've got the open part, which you can't really see, and my finger's in the way. Then we'll get our next little piece of chain. Put that on. There it goes. Close it up. There. And I'll just keep doing that until we assemble everything we need to assemble. And we can do that in a time lapse too. Now this is the point where we're going to go through and I do 2 things. The first thing I do is I go through every link on both ends of each bead and I make sure that they're closed and that they're tight and that they look pretty good. Okay, now the very last thing that I do is I go through the whole chain of beads and I look for the loops, the eye-pin loops that aren't hanging at 90 degrees, that aren't maybe that straight, like this one. This one right here, can you see? It's bent a little bit to the side. So I would go through, I would take that one and I would just, ever so slightly bend it so that it is in line with all the other ones. But I'm going to look at all of these, and then the final stage is just to connect them with the jump hoops to the centerpiece and the crucifix. Okay, now on to the crucifix. There it is. Most crucifixes are going to come with a jump ring, hoop ring right there in it. And I think this one is too big. Now the reason that they do that is because it's a little bit stronger, but I think it's too big. I'm gonna take it out. So that's real easy. You just use you can use fingers there, but you use your pliers, and you just open it up a little bit, bloop, and then you can just slide it off, and there you go. And then I'm going to take these smaller, and that's pretty small, these smaller hoop rings, and I'll do it the same way. Open it up a little bit. I'm going to put my crucifix on there if I can. I'll use my fingers. Open it up a little bit more, make a little more. Now I'm not pulling it open. I'm twisting it open. I mean, you could do either way, but it's going to be easier to close it. Oh, just lost something. It's going to be easier to close it if you twisted it open rather than pulling it open. Okay, now this is important. When you close the loop on the last jump hoop here on your connector, you don't want all the beads twisted. So over here, you can't off screen, I'm holding it up and I'm letting the whole thing sort of, well, it's going like this. I'm just letting any kinks or any twists come out of it. And now I've got the end and one more jump hoop here. There. And it's finished. Let me back this camera up a bit, we'll look at it together. And there, brothers and sisters, we have our very own chaplet of Our Lady of Sorrows, our rosary of the 7 sorrows of the Blessed Virgin Mary, and it's very pretty. Oh, now that it's finished, so this video's done. Thank you for joining me. This was amazing. I hope you make some rosaries and some chaplets. But the next video, what we need to do, I can do this myself because I'm ordained, but you need to take your rosary that you made or bought and take it to a priest, take it to your pastor, ask for it to be blessed. I'm going to bless my own because I can, but my intention in our next video, as I'm blessing this chaplet, my intention will be, please God, bless not just this chaplet, this rosary, but the chaplet and the rosary of every person throughout the world, throughout history, who prays with me in this video, this next video, and wants their rosary, their chaplet blessed. And I am convinced that God, who is outside of space and time, and who will not be outdone in generosity, will hear our prayers together and will bless all of us. And I know that the Virgin Mary, our Heavenly Mother, will give us all her motherly blessing and help all of us to continue to walk with her Son through the cross, through the sorrows, to the joy and the peace of the resurrection. Thank you so much for joining me. Now you know how to make rosaries, and you know how to repair and fix rosaries. So get out there and do it. Send me questions, comments, critiques is just fine at askabababa@gmail.com. I can't respond to everyone, especially not quickly, but I do pray for every intention that comes my way. I spend my whole day, every day, fasting and praying for the world and especially for you. So let us remain united in prayer in this life so that we can remain united in praise forever in that life to come. Thank you.